just a little introduction here, and I know that we've heard a lot about our guest already, but as you know, our keynote speakers, and we've talked about Rebekah Dorr and her advocacy in the community, which is incredible. Her father, David, is with her, a caregiver for many, many years for Rebekah and for her mother. And we have Bruce, too. Bruce is an MG patient, but also has over 30 years of experience as a paramedic. So we have a really good variable group here, I think, that can speak on lots of different topics for us. But we have some medical questions, we have some community questions, so we'll just start with some of these medical questions. We had several inquiries about MG symptoms, from random dilation of pupils, fatigue, and not just muscle fatigue, muscle cramps in the calf on sides and fronts, and cramps at night. And so a lot of members of the audience want to know if these symptoms are characteristic of MG.
They're not. Calf cramps can be from the mastodon. Mastodon can cause muscle twitches, cramps. But most of those symptoms are, most of the other list is unlikely to be from the MG.
Thank you. There were actually lots of other questions about mastodon symptoms as well. So maybe you can respond to those. One was hair loss. One was someone who's struggling with needing 2 to 3 half-hour naps a day and not getting help with closing their eyes for mastodon. And one was someone who is experiencing, let's see, my head gets very hot and starts to sweat, but only the head. About 5 minutes after taking mastodon, the symptoms stop. Are those common? Do you think that that's a reflection of the mastodon? Are they separate symptoms, maybe of something else? One at a time, that's a lot. Okay, absolutely, we can do that. Okay, so first of all, is hair loss a common symptom with mastodon, and is it treatable?
So I'll be to answer that question? No, I didn't take mastodon. Mastodon typically does not cause hair loss. Certainly, immunosuppressants can. Cells that hang around certainly can cause hair loss, but really not seen it from mastodon at all. Now, also understand is that the hair loss can also be a symptom of thyroid disease. A number of patients who have myasthenia also have thyroid disease that can be a contributing factor.
Oh, we got it. Okay. Oh, okay, great. And so then we have someone who has ocular MG and needs 2 to 3 half-hour naps daily, and the mastodon is not helping them close their eyes. So should they continue to take mastodon, or is there something else they could use to improve their symptoms?
Mastodon does not close the eyes?
Yes. You're doing the best you can with what you have. So.
Well, part of it also is that if ptosis is the primary symptom, not everyone responds to mastodon ptosis. So basically, well, it's a program they start with. A number of patients do need prednisone and immunosuppressant. So that may be part of the issue. Either going at 3 half tablets a day, they may need to have a higher dose of mastodon. And if that doesn't happen, then I would add prednisone.
Okay, so we have someone else who said their head gets very hot and starts to sweat, and it's only their head. When they take a mastodon, within 5 minutes, it stops. Have you heard of this weird reaction? They understand it's not common, and what does cause that?
We have a lot of weird side effects here. Well, mastodon, especially if it's taken in excess, can cause sweating. We'll need to see in this particular case what kind of dose and how often. But at low dose, it's not a common side effect to have sweating exclusively in the head.
Stay 5 minutes after taking mastodon, it goes away.
That's what they thought, it goes away.
Too fast.
Yeah. I mean, I know some patients basically very fatigued at the end of the dose may actually, sweat a little more and having to work a lot harder than whatever activity. But I'm surprised it would be only 5 minutes after, maybe 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. That's not starting to kick in.
the pressure, everything that I was feeling went away. That's common. And if I didn't take it, if I got up to walk, I probably would lump in and get in some trouble. But I've never heard anybody say that sweating or that have almost rushed to the head is a symptom.
Again, you see that, again, you see the sweating Mastodon, but I wouldn't expect at the end of this, was the way you're already describing it, 5 minutes after you take it is really the last part of your previous dose. Your second new dose hasn't really kicked in yet 5 minutes. I'm not sure why.
Does it occur when you don't take methadone?
Does it do what?
Does it occur when you don't take
Yeah, that's
methadone?
what I'm saying. If I waited longer than maybe I should have, or I try to push it out as long as I can. That's the symptom I get, like walking with me or like my eyes closing, those sort of things. It's just a weird symptom. So I just was wondering if you've heard of that.
I have not.
That's interesting. All right. Reducing prednisone, when they get down to a 0 dose, would medicine be the recommendation that they would be placed on? Is that really dependent on the patient, or is there a kind of a standard of care once they get off the prednisone?
To take other medications? Well, I think that, again, it depends on the patient. I mean, it's individualized, everything else I mentioned. It's definitely easier to try and decrease the methadone dose than the cell set or other immunosuppressant, because if you decide we want to decrease your cell set a little bit, we may not know for 3, 4, 5 months or more whether that was a good thing or a bad thing to do. And the problem is then it's going to take a while. We say, okay, we really need to bring it back up. It may take a while to come back up, so you may be a big dip. So immunosuppressants are much easier to start than to stop. That's for sure.
Thank you. Okay, and then we had several questions about alternative treatments and drugs. So we had questions about can you take a statin, an ambient, or creatine supplements to help with MG?
You take statin, ambient, or?
Creatine. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Creatine? Is that right? Okay, creatine. Yeah, there it is.
If your LDL is, if your cholesterol is high, you have cardiovascular disease, you should be on statin. And if you have insomnia and you're sleeping well, it's all risk and benefits. It's not all myasthenia, and we have other comorbidities that needs to be treated. If we don't sleep well, the next day we're going to be very sleep deprived and fatigued and not work well. So if ambient is the one that's helping with that, then I don't see why not. Regarding the creatine, I don't have much information about that. We use creatine in muscle disease, some muscle disease. This is not a muscle disease, it's neuromuscular junction disease, so I'm not aware of any benefits of creatine on myasthenia.
Thank you. We are going to jump around. We have a bunch of questions for caregivers and social resources as well. So one of the questions was, how can I explain about my fatigue to my friends and family when they don't understand?
It's very difficult to explain because there's no baseline for them to understand. Their understanding of fatigue or tiredness is something that can be remedied with a nap or caffeine or something like that. So it's very difficult to get somebody who has no perception of sometimes a coma-inducing fatigue to really understand that it's not pertaining to how much I sleep or how much I do or do not do. So I don't know how many are familiar with the spoon theory. It's a way to try to explain everybody gets a certain amount of spoons for energy every single day. And so for a myasthenic or somebody with a chronic illness, they have fewer spoons, and basic activities like showering, walking, talking, chewing, these activities require spoons that do not require from people who do not have these diseases. So it's kind of a good way to give a symbolic visualization of how little reserve we have and how much a simple activity can cost us with that reserve.
I usually try to explain that when you plug in a sink filled with water, and for people that don't understand, and us, the myasthenic, when we get tired and we unplug it, when it goes out in a swoosh, that's how we feel. And some people do get the symbology of that. That's a little more visual, and they understand that.
I think that's helpful to have those analogies.
Yeah, that analogy helps. When it goes out in a big swoosh, as opposed to, oh, you sit down and you rest and it'll be okay. It won't. That doesn't work.
I'd like to add something about fatigue. It's important that we make sure that we're not fatigued from something else. And there's several other things that cause fatigue, and we can't attribute everything to myasthenia. Making sure you're not anemic, your vitamin D levels, you're not vitamin D deficient, you have obstructive sleep apnea, which is also a big one, hypothyroidism. So fatigue on its own, it needs to be worked out. Don't assume it's a myasthenia, and you should have a medical workup for fatigue.
I usually explain to family members two things for understanding. One is if you ever had a cold or a flu bug and you had that goo and you just feel restless, try feeling that way 7 days a week, 356 days a year, or 365. I'm on vacation. And the second one is, especially how heat will make an MG patient feel worse. If I go out and work out in my yard in July, and it's 90-some degrees out, I don't have MG, I can feel very fatigued, I can feel very tired, I feel wiped out. Again, if you feel that way, it's going to be worse for an MG patient. But you have to kind of almost show them or give them examples in their own life. And the other thing is sometimes caregivers we forget. And we have to be reminded because we're so used to, especially, you look up at a beautiful daughter like this and she's doing things and you think nothing about the fact that they have a disease. And they look so normal. They look like they're so active. And just like that, with an MG patient, they have inactivity.
I think that's a really good segue to our next question, which is, I have MG and also my daughter. Is there any program for caregivers with illnesses as well? Are there resources you would recommend for someone who is caregiving, and especially if they have the disease as well?
Well, we're trying to do more for that. I know the MDA, we've talked about it, is it in November that we're...
November is National Caregivers Month, and we really hope that we'll be able to have initiatives that service our caregivers. Yes.
And in the meantime, I've been working with another group to try to do a seminar for caregivers and to help them along. Because for a caregiver, especially if you're the only caregiver, and you've been through doctors, you've been through hospitalization, it can wear on your caregiver just as much. But one of the things that's really important is to get as many in your family to understand what MG is, to understand the treatments, to understand what happens if you end up going to the ER or hospitalization. Because if that one person isn't there, you need someone else there. When Rebekah was in the hospital, there was either my wife or myself 24 hours a day with her. we weren't there. We were very fortunate on one of the trips. We had a friend of ours who said go home, and she stayed with Rebekah through the night. But it's very important to have as many people in your immediate family, to have someone to be able to still that caregiver, or if that caregiver's out of town, or they get sick, that you have someone else. As far as support is concerned, we have in Orlando, an Orlando support group for MG patients and the caregivers. It's the second Saturday of every even month. We're going to try to do a session, and that's on a Saturday morning. We're going to try to do a Thursday night one on the odd ones. Bob over there, raise your hand, Bob. He's in charge of the Melbourne support group. We have a new support group in Tampa. We have a support group that has been on for a while for Dr. Weiss in St. Petersburg. And we have someone else who's trying to start a group up in Ocala. So we're getting more involved in that. So, and you can always reach someone, one of us, via email or Facebook.
That's great. And you mentioned emergency care, which is a great segue as well, because we want to hear from Bruce on some of these questions. So we had, yes.
How old were you when you first got diagnosed?
I have to do math real quick. Hold on. No, we're on 22. It was September 22nd, 2011. So if you want to add that up real quick. So yeah, it's been 6 years, not quite 6 years. And I was very critical in the very beginning. My first year was very rapidly progressive, and then I got to the right doctor. And it was a miracle. And so what you see today as a presentation is largely due to very good care. Well, I had a very sudden onset, so I know a lot of people in the community that have, and I can't speak to a large population like he could, but I know more often than not you have more of a progressive onset, with the ocular and maybe with the weakness, and it kind of progresses from there. I had a very rapid onset, so I immediately had, I'm sorry? I try to do everything to the best of my ability. So I thought I'd really challenge everybody.
So we wanted to hear about best practices for emergency situations, staying safe in the ER and advising first responders.
Yeah, my background again is a paramedic, so my advocacy is for education, both for the MG community, but also for the medical professionals. First of all, think about when you call 911 and a paramedic arrives, they're going to want medical history. If you're incapacitated because of an exacerbation, very often you're not able to communicate very well. You may be at home alone. You may have called 911 and whispered into the phone you need an ambulance. What's going to happen if they get there, their house is locked? Do you have an emergency plan? Several 911 centers you can call and register with the 911 center that you have MG, that you want them to know you have emergency access into your house. You may have a lot of boxes. But you need to prepare a plan so these medical professionals who know your background, that you do have MG. What I believe you should do is have a medical alert, register with 911. When they come to your house, have a packet of medical information. Who are your emergency contacts? You want them to contact immediately someone that can go to the emergency room and advocate for you. So they have to know who to call. In your phone, you can register ICE in case of emergency. Most EMS knows to look in your phone and look for ICE. And you can even do that on Apple, even if it's locked. You can have your ICE information come up and they can know who to contact. So they can be there in that emergency room. Your emergency contacts can be your physicians. Dr. Weiss could be on that list for you. When you get to that emergency room, you want them to know you have MG and what are your symptoms. What's your history? Medical professionals do not know much about MG. You have to be your strongest advocate. So your family member or you have to communicate. Because how often comes in and looks at you and you're in distress, but they don't understand MG, and they walk out the door and say, he's having an anxiety attack. Exactly. They have to be educated. So in that packet, you need to have those documents explaining in detail what MG, what the symptoms are, how to recognize it, and what they should be doing. They need to know that the pulse ox is very misleading. You may have tachypnea, you may have a perfect pulse ox, and that doctor's looking and says, this is anxiety. I don't see anything here. Your vitals are normal. So again, it's education. But the other thing I'm trying to do is educate the medical community, EMS and ERs, what MG is. And hopefully with the MGFA and American College of Emergency Physicians, this next year we'll have some education material coming out that will train these individuals, these professionals, and have some protocols for them to fill out. So it has to be in the medical literature. In one case in point, when I went to the emergency room with a crisis, the doctor looked at me, asked questions. I immediately had the information readily available on my iPad, pulled up the medical record. He started asking me questions. He said, you know more than I do. What do I need to do? So I gave him my protocol. I was my strongest advocate. So I was able to tell him what was going on, what my symptoms were, and what they normally did for the treatment.
I just wanted to steal your spotlight. I'm sorry. Thank you. I just wanted to mention, there are scenarios. What do we do when we hand packets or, we try to advocate and they are a little stubborn and they do not want to read, they do not want to listen, because that happens more often than we'd like to believe. I can't tell you how many times, for myself and for other people I've had experience with doing advocacy, I can type up the best information in the world and think, great, this is a quick access for these emergency care workers. Sometimes they refuse to read it. They don't need to know it. They're fine. And so a lot of times that's where I think there's a strong agreement, is that it really has to come down to self-education, and unfortunately has to come down to education with your caregiver. If you're in a position where you can't speak and give your own protocol and they're not listening to you, you have to have a fallback plan. And so it's very important, I think, and not always can Dr. Weiss or somebody else be reached if he's not on call or something else is happening. There really has to be a plan that works for you. Sometimes medical alerts, I know there's a new one, or fairly new one, where they have, is it the USB? They have USB so they can plug it into their laptops and pull up all your relevant information. And I know some people will do step by step if they can't speak. Please do not do X, Y, Z. Please do not lay me flat. Please sit me up. Please make sure that you look at my respiration rate, look at my heart rate, look at all these different criteria that is important, not just what is your oxygen level, are you speaking to me. So it's very important, I think, to understand what criteria medical emergency personnel is supposed to look for, and then how to help them look for it when they're not doing it.
Actually, I wanted to ask Bruce a question. Do you think it's a good idea also to knock on the door of your neighborhood fire department and talk to the EMTs ahead of time, and at least give them some information or heads up?
That may help, but you got all the different shifts,
Okay.
and whether that information is disseminated. What we really need to do is have a comprehensive education program nationwide that goes out, and it is adopted uniformly by the professionals that we say, this is the medical criteria that we want to educate our EMTs and paramedics. So it needs to be uniform.
I'm saying before that happens.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt at all. But again, I'm more of the big picture, because there's so many EMS systems out there, so many personnel. It needs to be done by the medical directors of those providers, and it needs to be done on the statewide and the national level. And there's programs to do that. It's easy to implement it once you get it in the door, and that's what we're trying to do with American College of Emergency Physicians. A nurse out in California has MG. She's a good friend of the newest out there, if you want to learn about how to communicate with the doctors and understand. My son's a doctor. He's here working. He's a neurology resident. They go into this training program and they get in these mindsets, protocols, and cookbook medicine, and they get trapped in that. There's a good book out there called When Doctors Don't Listen, written by an ER doctor in Boston, Dr. Lee. I highly recommend you read that. It kind of gives you an overview of how these doctors are trained, how they fall in these pitfalls of following these cookbook medicine, and how you can direct them to do a proper diagnosis and involve you in that diagnosis.
One very quick thing is you can name anybody as your advocate. It doesn't have to be your spouse or your child. You can name anybody that you want to be as an advocate. And that includes somebody who you need to make a phone call to. The problem with naming somebody who's an advocate who's not in the room with you is that the medical personnel is not obligated to make a phone call to that advocate. So just know that that can be a fail-safe or a tertiary response, but it's not necessarily an obligation on their end.
And if somebody's experiencing racing heart 30 minutes after taking a dose, is that a sign that it could be a crisis, or is that a normal reaction to medication?
Racing heart,
Mm-hmm.
after taking it. With cholinergic, anything, your heart rate would be low, not high. If you're having difficulty breathing because of myasthenia, not doing the like this, then your heart rate may be up. That's the itself should not cause a heart rate to go up.
I want to tell you that, because I went through heck and a handbag shit on diagnosing MG, going to the emergency room with a flare-up or near crisis. I have a young resident, I'm not going to say the hospital or whatever, that they just assigned to me, and I told her everything, just like you guys said, being an advocate. You know what her last statement was? Now, what kind of doctor ordered to be consul ordered a different procedure session? They didn't know it was neurology.
I think we have a couple issues. I mean, one is unfortunately, unless you do neurology, even with the neurology programs, there's a broad spectrum of what you learn depending on what the expertise of the faculty is there. So if you don't have a neuromuscular, why did my residency, we did not have a neuromuscular specialist at all.
And the nurses don't get there.
But I mean, fortunately, the fellowship with us, so that's why I learned a lot of neuromuscular. So some of it is a lack of education.
Yeah, and the nurses.
You know, and you talk about other positions. I mean, that lovely myasthenia gravis. Oh yeah, I remember reading about my first or second year of medical school, and that's the last they know of it. So some of it's education of the community. And I think, unfortunately, some of the experiences that people have in the emergency room, you know, because often you may not look that bad. You walk in and you go, gee, this person, why do you think this person is doing badly? They look perfectly fine to me. Well, listen, they don't understand the disease, and then you don't have to always look bad. I mean, those of you that have, disabled parking stickers, and every time any looks do you get, and people, why do you have that? Because you look perfectly fine, not understanding that your stamina isn't very good.
Well, even the American Diabetes Association has a very perfect t-shirt. I may not look stupid, or sick, but you don't look stupid.
So you're saying you're the one that within a 30-minute time frame of methanol, you start to have tachycardia?
Yeah, and like I had to take a dose after the 8, and
Is it racing now?
it's slowing down a little bit. It's been about 45, 50 minutes now, so it's like,
So within your first 30 minutes it races, but you have a period where that declines?
it's like right now it's still there, but it's not, it's like an onset that it gets my attention. It's like stronger, I feel it. And then like right now it's getting a little bit better, where it's still there, but it's not as, and sometimes it gets so bad I can't even see my shirt.
And you also have thyroid disease, correct?
Yeah.
And you're hypo or hyper?
Oh.
see if that creates a problem, and half a tablet instead of a full tablet, half a dose, to see if
One or
that's...
two doses even might be able to find out. But again, it can
Taking
also be
less.
really lousy because you're on too much. And you kind of feel like you're racing, and maybe not. Which is why you may be getting sweaty, it's similar, maybe all constellation of things. And again, when I talk about cholinergic symptoms, you don't have to have everything. So, but in and of itself, methadone should not cause fast heart rate, but it may be something in response to something else, maybe indirect as opposed to direct cause. So,
Dr. Weiss, cardiac issues aren't related to methadone, but I have a hypersensitivity to the prednisone, and I ended up with numerous cardiac arrhythmias, atrial fib, atrial flutter, ended up having baby nose ablated and having a pacemaker. So she's on prednisone, but she be having heart-related issues, side effects from this.
Well, also on prednisone, it's not going to be the methadone again. Well, again, a number of people don't feel spectacular on prednisone for a variety of reasons. But also, we have to also remember that just because you have MG doesn't mean you can't have other things. So, if you're having palpitations on a regular basis, you might want to see a cardiologist to make sure you're not missing something else. Because again, I'm sure there's more than one person in the room that just because you have MG doesn't mean you can't have an arrhythmia for whatever reason.
I'm going to add another symptom. What about sleep deprivation? We're getting 3 to 5 hours of sleep a night. Is that related to any medications that they might be on for MG?
Well, the prednisone, if you're taking the prednisone too late, take it in the morning with breakfast, and very high doses of prednisone might do it also. Even low doses of prednisone, so yes, could be directly related to the prednisone.
And occasional patients, if they take their methadone too late, or just before they go to bed, sometimes they feel like they're just kind of revved. Now they're doing, now you're basically starting to rev up a little bit, so they have sometimes difficulty falling asleep after the methadone, they're taking it just before they go to bed. Again, typically, you want to take methadone during the daytime unless you have to take it overnight. If you're I tell patients, for the most part, if you're going to go to bed within an hour of taking the methadone, no reason to take it, because by the time it kicks in, you're already going to bed anyways. And the rest you're going to have overnight, the rest will relax the muscles and give you fatigue. So.
Thank you. Well, we have about 5 minutes left, and we have many, many, many more questions. We could do this for another hour. So I want to give our panel presenters an opportunity to say any closing remarks, and I want to assure you that your questions will find their way to a panel presenter, and we will try to get out some information as well. We encourage you to stay and to visit as long as you would like, but I want to respect your time as well. I know a couple of the questions that we saw were specific to young adult resources, for teenagers, for college resources, which is my plug-in for, we have some other conferences coming up throughout the state of Florida that are geared towards college-age, high school, and middle school students that are specific to resources and growing independence. So I really hope that we have an opportunity to see some of you at those events, and you'll hear more about that in the future as well. So I'm going to turn it back over to our panel presenters. We're going to thank them. If there's any last minute remarks that you would like to share, any resources you'd like to share, and then we will do our raffle, and then we will dismiss.
I'd just like to say that MG is rare. There's a general lack of education among physicians, even neurologists. So you play a big part on your disease. You gotta understand it, you gotta educate it. This is part of your own education and knowing it. Know what medicines you're on, know what doses you're on, know what works and what doesn't work. Know what you've tried in the past and it hasn't worked. All this information is very important for the physician that doesn't know anything about MG and will be taking care of you in a hospital. If you can tolerate only methadone 3 times a day, because 4 times a day causes weakness, a local neurologist might feel compelled to increase your methadone while you're in the hospital, for example. So know what works, know what doesn't work, and that's about it.
And one thing I would add, understand you have disease, you're on medications, that need to be taken, taking medication. Sort of my observation over the years has been that patients that do the best they can to control the disease, rather than allowing the disease to control them, do much better. So, positive advocate, it does make a difference. And part of that is being here, and you have much more information. Frankly, I find probably true on a patient with myasthenia, are more educated about the disease than most patients are with other diseases, even though this isn't necessarily the most common disease out there. And I think that's part of the key. We understand there are times the doctors are not going to listen. We can't control everybody. But at least you know, if I know what you know about your disease, it does help you. And again, just find the positive and know what you can do rather than focusing on the things you can't do, so to speak.
I would just like to say that I know from a clinical aspect, education is very important. But I also know that a sense of community is extremely important for our emotional and mental well-being, and that plays into how we care for ourselves physically. So I really hope that the takeaway is not just a clinical experience here, but that there is a sense of family, a sense of community that is built, because we are going to be each other's sense of strength and sense of encouragement. We are going to get what nobody else is going to get. And so if it's in person, a support group, or on social media, I know I have a page. I know there's 6, 7, 8, 9 different groups, and they're all tailored towards different aspects of MG. Please plug in, because there's only so much that doctors can do. They can give you the exact right regimen that's perfect for you, and you're still going to have the aspect of MG that doctor cannot treat or touch, and that's the emotional side and the mental side. And so it's just as important to care for those aspects of MG as it would be for the physical symptomology that a doctor would evaluate and then treat. So, I hope that there is a place for everybody to feel like they can be human, to feel like they can laugh and cry and celebrate and weep and get angry and kind of get back up on their feet again. And the whole point of that community is to kind of circle around us so that when we do struggle, we have somebody else to pick us up. And so if you need help plugging in, please let somebody know. We would love to help you.
We work as a team with the care group, so that we have a tendency to do that. But in going along with what she said, plug into a care group and a support group, be active, even if you're doing fine. Because you know what? We always get at least 2 to 3 new patients every time we have a meeting. And those folks are, all you have to do is go back to the days that you were first diagnosed. You had no idea what this disease was. You had no idea what was going to happen to you. You may have run into doctors who did not know anything about MG. Your experience was bad. And it's a time of community to share that with those new patients and support them. And sometimes we have to go around and give them hugs, because that's what they need. The second thing is, she didn't say it. She said about the Facebook that hers is MG Unmasked. You unmasked. MASKED.
Yeah, it's not, I don't have the initials, Myasthenia Gravis.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to try to do that before. We've got the mic on the interlake plane. She's so beyond that. Her page is phenomenal. And we were talking about getting advocacy. I often go to her page and take the quote to send to my sister or to my husband. Your information has really enhanced my ability to deal with it and not let it control me. So Rebekah and Dave, they have this amazing support. So I don't think
The last thing I'm going to say is, for the caregivers, you can be polite to some of the doctors or nurses or whoever, but you may have to be firm. Stay firm. Don't worry about it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They get to go home to their family. This is your loved one that you're caring for. Take care of it. Okay?
I apologize. It just pertains to times, when they're dosing on a unit, they have an hour window before and after most medications to give it to you, okay? Mestinon, I know Dr. Weiss taught me, Mestinon is very strict. He likes it to be on a schedule, so that's how I learned to think about Mestinon, so it's all your fault. But, so when you're on a unit sometimes, if you're due at 3 o'clock and it's 3:45, oh, in their mind, it's okay. It's still a safe parameter. So a lot of times it falls to the caregivers to kind of go after them, and sometimes actually going down to the nurse's station and chasing after them and saying, you don't understand, they have to have this med now. And if you can, bring your medication from home, but as Dr. Weiss said, let them know, because sometimes they don't have it in that local hospital. Sometimes it can take them a day to get it, and sometimes they do not have it on the unit. Pharmacy does not send it up to the unit in time for you to get dosed. So these are ways for you to let them know and work with them, but have a safety net for you just in case.
I just want to thank the MDA and Bioture and Rebekah for doing this program. It's been excellent. And of course, our medical professionals. Education is critical. Advocacy, we give you a pat on the back for attending today. You're on the right step. I'll be speaking next month at the Myasthenia Gravis Foundation of America annual conference in New Orleans. I'll be doing an emergency preparedness program. Anybody interested, that is next month, and you can find it on their website.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you. I get teary-eyed thinking of your camaraderie and the way that you support each other and all of the information and the hunger for information. So we appreciate all of you being here. I think there were some great resources laid out for you to get plugged in. One of those places where you can get plugged in is MDA Muscle Walk. So we all hope that you were able to sign up and that you get to see each other there and you get to celebrate there. We're going to do a drawing here. I think we've got, yeah, make them draw it. This is for an MDA swag bag. Number 653699. Yes!
Dr. Rosario. Ticket number 65366. 653696.
There you go.
Okay, we've got one more, and this is for the BioCure gift bag.
Put pressure on, right? Let me get you somebody here. It's not way over the promise. Okay. If I can actually read this. Oh, there's that's okay. We'll see. 653712. Let's see what it is.
Thank you all for coming. Please make sure you see us before you go so we can say hi and give you a hug. Thank you again. We hope to see you at future